When a place built for hundreds stands completely empty, a profound stillness takes over. This isn't peace, it's pressure. And in that pressurized silence, the most disquieting feelings can emerge. It's the unshakable sensation that the emptiness is not empty at all. It's the feeling of a presence just around the corner, or the sound of a footstep that isn't yours, and the chilling certainty that in the void, something has taken form. But what if that feeling isn't just in your mind? What if the emptiness is not truly empty, but occupied by things drawn to the silence we leave behind? From a spiritual perspective, our bustling spaces are more than just buildings. They are reservoirs of energy, saturated with life force, emotions, and the vitality of thousands of people. When the people leave, the energy remains, simmering in the silence. And this creates a powerful beacon. In the world of the unseen, a suddenly emptied, energy-rich place is like a sudden feast after a famine. It attracts attention. The void we perceive is not a vacuum. It is a new habitat, a hunting ground for those entities that feed on the residual essence of your life. Your sense of dread is not a malfunction. It is a warning. You have walked into a place that has become something else's territory. So, what is it that shares these spaces with us? The explanations range from the psychological to the paranormal. First is the projected self. Your own fear, loneliness, and heightened awareness are projected outwards, creating a phantom from your own unease. The second is the acoustic illusion. The building itself wraps mundane sounds into the illusion of patterned, intelligent footsteps. The third is the place memory, a psychic echo of the past, a recording of intense emotions left imprinted on the location. But the most chilling theory is that of the spiritual feeders. These are not echoes or memories. They are conscious entities. Spirits drawn to the potent energy of a recently vacated space. They are not necessarily ghosts of the dead, but something else. Parasites of the unseen world that roams these hollowed-out spaces to feed on the lingering essence of life. The footsteps you hear are not an imitation of your own. They are the sound of something hunting, tracking, the most vibrant source of energy in its new domain, you. A certain story that I vaguely remember paints this in the bigger picture, where the theory of the spiritual feeders become terrifyingly clear in the story of a boy named Satoshi. It began in the most mundane way possible, an afternoon game of football with friends. As the game ended, talk turned to homework. It was then Satoshi made a simple, frustrating discovery. His notebook was missing. He was sure he had left it in his desk. Annoyed, but not worried, he bid his friends goodbye and turned back towards the school alone. The school gate was locked. As expected, it was a minor inconvenience. He found a familiar spot, hopped the fence easily, and landed on the other side. Walking towards the main entrance, he assumed it would be locked too. But when he tugged on the heavy door, to his slight surprise, it swung open. The staff must have forgotten to lock it. He thought nothing more of it, stepping inside to get his notebook and be on his way. The first true hint of something being off was the silence. It was a thick, heavy quiet that seemed to swallow the sound of the closing door. The familiar hallway was now an alien landscape, bathed in the long deep silence of the afternoon. He started for the stairs, his footsteps echoing unnaturally loud in the cavernous space. Halfway up the first flight, he heard it. A second set of footsteps, perfectly in sync with his own. He stopped. The sound stopped. He took another step. So did the echo. A cold trickle of fear ran down his spine. This wasn't his imagination. This was real. He quickened his pace, and the footsteps matched him, step for step. Then they began to change. They lagged for a second, then rushed to catch up. No longer a perfect mirror, but an independent, intelligent presence just behind him. His heart hammered in his chest. He scrambled up the remaining stairs, spinning around at the top. It was empty. Utterly, completely empty. A wave of relief, shaky and thin, washed over him. His mind, desperate for logic, provided it. It was the building, he told himself. Just strange acoustics, pipes, the wind. He had spooked himself over nothing. The fear receded, replaced by a slightly embarrassed resolve. He just needed to get his notebook and be on his way. He hurried to his classroom, the earlier terror fading with every step. The classroom was as he'd left it, so he went straight for his desk, pulled open the drawer, and there it was, the simple, normal notebook. He grabbed it, a tangible piece of his normal life. The dread was gone. He had won against his own foolish fear. He turned to leave, his hand reaching for the classroom door handle. And that's when the true horror began. It started as a faint rustle down the hall, which sharpened instantly into the unmistakable sound of a footstep. Then another, and another, and suddenly they weren't just steps. They were a sprint, a frantic, deafening, full-force charge down the hallway, straight towards his classroom. The sound wasn't just loud, it was violent, a tidal wave of noise that swallowed the silence whole. It's getting closer, faster, louder, a blur of motion and fury captured entirely in sound. Satoshi stood frozen, his hand still on the cold metal handle, paralyzed. It's coming. Faster, faster, louder, closer. It's coming. It's outside. It's here. It reached a deafening crescendo directly outside the door, and then ceased. Not faded, not walked away. It stopped. The silence that followed was heavier and more terrifying than the noise. It was the silence of something standing right on the other side of the thin wooden door, watching, waiting. He could feel a presence, a coldness seeping through the gap at the bottom of the door. He backed away slowly, his eyes wide, his entire world shrinking into that single, unmoving door. Who or what was out there? And was it waiting for him to open it? Or was it waiting for the door to open on its own? Either way, he must stand still. He must be ready. Whoever or whatever it is feels unnatural. And who knows what would happen if it enters the classroom. The next morning, his classmates found him. He was curled up on the floor, on one of the class's corner, in a fetal position. The notebook still clutched in his white-knuckled grip. His eyes were wide open, staring at the classroom's door, surrounded by dark, bruise-like circles. He hadn't slept at all. His mind had not allowed it. Every second of the night had been spent in hyper-vigilant concentration, analyzing the door, the windows, every possible entrance, waiting for the thing that had chased him to finally make its move. For Satoshi, the terror did not end with the sunrise. The school was never the same. The hallways, once familiar, now felt like a predator's den. He couldn't concentrate, jumping at every slamming locker, his eyes constantly darting towards the classroom door, expecting it to fly open. He was a shell, the vibrant boy from the football field, replaced by a haunted, hollowed-out version. Doctors diagnosed a severe anxiety disorder, a textbook trauma response. But those who study this phenomena speculate on a more unsettling possibility. What if the trauma wasn't just psychological, but spiritual? The intense, focused fear Satoshi experienced, a raw, potent energy, may have acted as a conduit. It's possible the encounter didn't just scare him. It created a lingering connection, a psychic wound that left a residue. The entity that hunted him in the silence had fed, and in doing so, it may have left a part of its own inside of him. A cold spot in his spirit that constantly remembers the touch of the void. Perhaps the most straightforward explanation is that there was no entity at all. The human mind is not designed for profound silence and isolation, especially in a place that should be teeming with life. From the moment Satoshi heard that first echo on the stairs, he was already on high alert. His brain desperately trying to pattern match in the silence. The initial footsteps were likely just the old building's pipes or his own footsteps warping in the empty space. But once that seed of fear was planted, his mind did the rest, constructing an entire narrative of pursuit. The sprint, the presence at the door, were made from the creaks and groans of the school itself. The true horror was a self-made phantom, a hallucination born from the sheer oppressive dread of the empty place. It's a clean, logical conclusion. The terror was entirely internal. But if that's true, why does the memory feel so real? Why does the fear have weight, texture, and a terrifyingly specific personality? A simple fright should feel like a bad dream. And that's the most unsettling question of all. If it was just his mind, why does it feel like he met something that day? And why does it feel like a part of it followed him out? So, the next time you find yourself alone in a vast empty place and feel that instinctual chill, listen to it. It's an ancient warning. The emptiness is a lie. The spaces are not abandoned, they're occupied. The footsteps you hear are not an echo. They are a reminder that in the silence we leave behind, other things are listening. And when you are the only source of life in a place of echoes, you are not the listener. You are the one being heard.